What up, free bro? Salvation. Hey, you got many mansions. Think about salvation, get the danger. My flesh vain is my heart not trouble, I will pain. We trust in Abba, he the one that kill your problems. We thinking Abba, now we know about that lava. The streets of gold, walking on that road. I can't sell my soul, hell no. I'ma be the light everywhere I go. Ain't no vaccine up in the temple. The devil know that the most I dwelling in you. They tryna shoot you up, that should really offend you.
My cry for mercy as I call on you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your most holy place. I just wanna be worthy. I just wanna be
Shabbat Shalawam, Shabbat Shalawam. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Most High Yahawah and His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. Shalawam, shalom to the brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. Today we have a good topic. This topic we will be talking about the Feast of Dedication and did the Most High ordain it. Let's go directly to the scriptures. We'll start off in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 1. It says, the preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from Yahweh. All the ways of man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh weigheth the spirits. What does that mean? Meaning a man can look in the mirror, he can look into anything he wants to look into, and he may think that he's clean. He may think that the things that he have done is not wrong in his eyes and his ways. But Yahweh weigheth the spirits. Meaning, what does it mean that he weigheth the spirits? He knows what you did internally. And when we sin not only against the Most High, but we sin against who? His spirit that's within inside of us. This is why we get punished. This is why we get judgment, because we sinned against the spirit that he gave us to live. When you sin, you're sinning against the creator that's inside of you. That's why you must be punished, because he has given you life. He has given you his spirit within inside of you, which is holy, Quadash, and yet we go ahead and sin against him, meaning to what? Transgress the commandments that he has given us. This is why we must be punished. Verse 3, commit thy works unto Yahweh. This is why he's telling us now to do what? Commit thy works, meaning everything you do, it should be for Yahweh. You shouldn't be doing anything else unless it's for Yahweh. This is what it means to commit thy works. Let's click on this and see what works is talking about. Works. H4639. Your deeds, you can see it right here on the outline biblical usage. Your deeds, your work, things or thing done, act, work, labor, business, pursuit, enterprise, achievements. And a lot of people do everything else. They want to achieve school. They want to achieve their business. They want to achieve whatever. There's so many things people want to achieve. One thing they don't want to achieve, and that's not a priority, is what? The Most High. Deeds, work of deliverance and judgments, work, things made. It goes on to say an action. So any type of action that you do with inside of your body, it says whether good or bad, generally a transaction, activity, by implication, a product. Working, manship, so many things like that. So this is what it's speaking about. Basically the things you do in your everyday life, right? You get up, you go to work. For those that do work, For those that don't work, you get up and do whatever it is that you're going to do, whether it's going to school, whatever it is that you do. It said, commit thy works unto Yahweh, and thy thoughts shall be established. How will your thoughts be established? Because if you commit thy works to the Most High, then your thoughts will be established through the word of the Most High. But if you don't know the word, then how can you be established through the word? Verse 4, Yahweh have made all things for himself, even the wicked for the day of evil. So there are some people that are on earth that are made wicked, and they were created just for the day of evil. They were created just for the Most High to destroy them. Whoever it may be somebody you know, and it may be somebody you don't know. But there are people that were created on the earth as wicked for the day of evil, right? That's what they have been chosen for. Verse 5, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination. What does it mean to be proud? As what the Bible says. What does it mean to be proud? Does anybody know? In heart, as what the Bible says. Let's get it. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Let me stop sharing that. We'll go back to that, and then let me jump over here to show you what it means to be proud according to the Bible. Not what you say it is, but what the Bible says it is. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, right? This is verse 9. It says, why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. For such a one setteth his soul for sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. Then it says right here in verse 13, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abominations. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Let me see, is that the one I wanted? Right here, pride, being prideful, proud. Verse 7, same chapter 10. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and men, and both do as one commit iniquity. Pride wasn't made for man, nor fear is anger for them that are born of a woman. They that fear Yahweh are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. Notice what it says. They that regard not the law, meaning you don't care about the law. You don't care about the Bible. You don't care about the Most High. You don't care about his son. It says that they are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. So what does this mean? The ones who transgress, who sin, all of us have sinned, are what? A deceivable seed. Meaning what? You have been deceived. We all have been deceived at some period of time. Even Paul speaks about that in the book of Romans, how he was deceived by sin, how it takes advantage of us because we're so ignorant that we don't realize and know that we're living in darkness, and the actual sin takes advantage of us because whether you know it or not, the law still stands. And since the Creator gave you his spirit inside of you, whether you know it or not, if you go against the Creator that gave you the very spirit that's inside of you, you're going to be judged on that because you're held accountable, because you should know better. One might say, well, how will I know? How can I know? Well, we sit here all the time as people. Before I was even born, after I'm dead and gone, there will still be preaching the word. Let me get that real quick in the book of Romans as we move forward. Let me go back. Let me show you real quick. People have been doing this since the beginning of time, right? Like Mashiach Yahawashi said, Romans chapter 10. It says right here, Romans chapter 10, how then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? See, how can a people call on Hamashiach Yahawashi? How can the people call on Abanawi Yahweh? How can they even know? This is what Paul is saying in the book of Romans. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? They don't believe. And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without who? A preacher. So you need a preacher. You need someone who to bring forth the word. But one has to be sent to bring forth the word. And how shall they preach except they what? Be sent. The only reason you preach the word, the only reason you get up and do anything for the Most High, whether read, study, preach, whatever it is because it's the spirit of the Most High that's pulling you and making you do those things, because you have been called to do those things, because you were sent to do those things. That's the only reason why. If you don't do those things, it's because you haven't been sent. You haven't been called. That's why it's telling you right here. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. For they have not all obeyed the what? Gospel. They haven't. Not everybody has obeyed the gospel. So this is just something that we need to know. Let me go back to Proverbs real quick where we was. This is what it means when it says, everyone that's proud in heart is an abomination to Yahweh. Though hand join hand in hand, he shall not be what? Unpunished. You're going to be punished. We are going to be punished, for we all have sinned. It's just, will mercy be extended to you or not? You know, the ones that haven't repent, the ones that haven't given their life to Hamashiach Yahawashi, the ones that haven't believed. Let me show you this real quick. Let me go to Mark 16. I believe it's 16 and 6, if I'm not mistaken, or 16 and 16. Let me see. Yeah, here it is right here. Mark chapter 16, verse 15. It says, and he said unto them, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believe and is baptized shall be saved. So how do you be saved? You have to believe and you need to be baptized. And I'm not talking about being dunked in no water. You need to believe and you need to be baptized with the fire, right? It says shall be saved. But he that believeth not, somebody who doesn't believe, right, shall be what? Damned. So you already down. When you don't believe, you already down. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name, they shall cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink of any deadly thing, it shall not harm them. They shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. Now, what is he referring to? We know our brother Paul, when he was out, some things happened to him. And that man, when it happened, they said, surely he's going to die. They seen him get bit by the snake. The venom was running through him. And they thought, surely this man is going to die, right? They had already put it in their mind what they was going to do when he dies. But time kept going by. Paul didn't get sick. He didn't fall down. Nothing happened. They said, man, what is going on? Then they came to the conclusion after that. What did they say? For those who have not read the story or the epistle, they said this has to be a man that's sent from the Most High. This has to be a man that comes with the spirit of the Most High. Otherwise, how can this man live through something like that, a venomous snake bite, right? Without even being ill in any type of fashion or any type of way. So we know they won't go unpunished. Verse 6, it says, by mercy and truth, iniquity is what? Purged. Only through the mercy of the Most High and only through the truth is the iniquity, which is sin, purged. What does it mean? You start to purge out that evil that's inside of you. You start to purge it out. You start to change some. Now, it don't matter about what people say. what people think. Long as you know internally that you not the same as you was. That's what's important, because the Most High looks in the inside. Men, women on earth, they look from the outside. This is why he tells us don't judge one another, because your judgment is off. What you think you see, you really don't see. Let me show you that real quick in the book of Corinthians, chapter 4. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse, let me see. I'll start at 3. It says, but with me, it is a very small thing that I should be judged of you, or of man's judgment, meaning don't care what nobody else say, right? Whether the way they judge you, men, women, so what? Yeah, I judge not my own self. Paul says, I don't even judge my own self, for I know nothing by myself. Yet am I not hereby justified. But he that judges me is who? The master. This is why he says this, verse 5. Therefore judge nothing before the time, until the master come, who both will bring light to the hidden, or Salakia, will bring to light the hidden things of darkness. Meaning all of the things we done in darkness that nobody knows about. The stuff that nobody knows about, only you know because you did it. That's hidden. He says, when the master come, who will both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness and will make manifest the counsels of the heart, meaning what's really in your heart. And then shall every man have praise of the Most High. People be praising this brother and praising that sister and this and that, or, talking bad about a brother, talking bad about a sister. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's really in their heart. You don't know the hidden things. All you know is what you think you know, which ain't very much. And this is what he's saying right here. So we have to be careful about how we look at people and how we look at situations, because we don't really know. We don't know the hidden things. But by his mercy and truth, your iniquity can be purged. And by the fear of the Most High Yahweh, men depart from evil. That's the conviction. That's the things going on inside of you. Are you still as evil as you used to be? Have you got better? Or have you got worse? That's something that you have to ask yourself. Not ask other people, because only you know internally the things that you would have done when you come into certain situations, and now you don't do those certain things that you would want to do. Somebody else may look at that situation and say he's still the same, but they don't know what you really would have done and what it would have really went to. So you have to judge for yourself internally. Verse 7, it says, when a man ways please Yahweh, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So if you're doing the things for the Most High, he can even bring your enemies and make them at peace with you. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without being right. So you don't want, like, for example, all these people that get millions and millions of dollars, but they're evil and they live wicked. And they'll tell you, hail Satan, and all these different type of things, right? It's saying better is a little if you're righteous. You don't have a lot, you just got a little, but better is that. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about today, right? A little bit more. Shalawam, brother Issachar. Shabbat Shalawam. All praises be to the Most High. The water for tuning in, brother Issachar. Not sure what the P is for, but all praises, But let's get into the lesson, so it won't be too long. Let's go here. So what we talking about? We talking about the Feast of Dedication. We talking about, did Yahweh ordain it? So what we got to go to see if the Most High ordained it? Let's go back here to the book of Exodus real quick. Let's just establish something. Exodus chapter 24, right? Not going to read the whole thing, but I encourage you to go back. If you have not read it, I encourage you to go back and read it. Exodus chapter 24, verse 3. It says, and Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh have said, we will do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahweh and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is who this is attached to. It's attached, whatever's about to happen is attached to who? The 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 5, it says, and he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in a basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Something is happening here, right? In order for there to be a testament, which is a covenant, there has to be blood spilled. That's the way you enter into this contract. There has to be blood spilled. And he is bringing and taking blood, and he puts it in the basin, and he puts it in the altar. Verse 7, and he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience, right? There's an audience of people. Who? Israel. His audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahweh have said, we will do and be obedient. Now, this is our ancestors, our forefathers. They committed to this, right? You might say, well, I wasn't there. I can't say if you were there or not in the spirit. I don't know. You know, I do believe people live again. So I'm not 100% sure whether you were there or not. But we here today. And in Exodus 24:7, it says that they said we will be obedient. Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. Once they said they was going to be obedient to everything that the Most High has said through Moses the prophet, Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, this is the very most important part. Behold, the blood of the covenant. See, people forget, and maybe some people just don't even know it, doesn't realize that the covenant that we speak about is a blood covenant. It's a blood oath. This is why Moses spoke in this fashion and in this way. Behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh have made with you concerning all these words. So we know right here, as we look at this, that they're entering into a blood covenant. The same covenant that was on Mount Sinai. If you go back to chapter 20, I believe, chapter 20, that's where you get the 10 commandments and things of that nature. But we know as we continue on, when we go to the book of Leviticus, let me get this real quick. This is when we go to these appointed times, or as we know, these feasts. Hold on, before we go to, we can go here first. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. See, speaking about what? Festivals. Leviticus 23:1, it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feast, the appointed times of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. Then he goes on to explain about 6 days work shall be done, and the seventh day, the Sabbath, the rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings, meaning no matter wherever you stay, you shall keep the Sabbath day and make sure that it's holy. It says in verse 4, these are the feast of Yahweh, even the holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. So he's about to number all of his feasts. I didn't recall in Leviticus chapter 23 that Yahweh, through Moses, declared the Feast of Dedications. I just don't see it in there. Now, am I saying it's wrong to keep the Feast of Dedication? Of course not. Of course not. Keep anything that has to do with the Most High, right? All I'm saying is that Yahweh ordained it here in the Torah, and we don't see it here in the Torah. We know that it happened at a later period of time. We will get that. Just bear with me as we go to the book of Maccabees. But here in Leviticus 23, it's not here. It says, these are the feasts of Yahweh. So I have to reckon with that. I have to listen to this because this is what it's telling me. And these are his feasts. It says in the 14th day of the first month at evening is Yahweh's Passover, right? So we know it's speaking about what? His feast days. We already spoke about the Passover. It says in the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the next day of the Passover. Until Yahweh, 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day, you should have a holy convocation. You should do no servile work, right? Goes on to tell you about the offerings and things that you should do. And we're going to go down some. It's speaking about the first fruits. Verse 10, it says, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. And on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer that day, when ye wave the sheaf, a lamb without blemish, the first year, for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, right? And the meat offering thereon shall be 10 deals of fine flour, mingled with oil, and an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of a hin. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of this, but I just want to establish this and show that he's speaking about what? His feast days in here. Let's go down a little bit more. Here's another one, right? 23 and 23. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall be a Sabbath, a memorial, a blowing of the trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. We see the day of atonement, right? And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, right? And it continues to go on and on and on. And all I want to say is that you don't see the Feast of Dedication in here, right? You don't see this in here. Even when we go to the book of Deuteronomy, let's go here real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 16, I believe. Salakia. Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 16, right? So we went in the Torah. We still in the Torah, Leviticus, speaking about the feast. Nowhere in there does it discuss or bring up that Yahweh said anything about the Feast of Dedication. Once again, disclaimer, letting it be known, I'm not saying that we should not celebrate the Feast of Dedication. I am not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's not in the Torah, and Yahweh himself didn't ordain it in the Torah. That's what I'm saying. Am I telling you not to keep it? No. Deuteronomy 16 and 16, it says, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before Yahweh. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before Yahweh thy Allah in the place where he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread. So you have to come to where? Jerusalem. All males have to come 3 times a year, right? And nowhere in this where Yahweh is proclaiming that men have to, you have to appear before him. There's nowhere in here that says the Feast of Dedication. It says the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Tabernacles. And it says, and they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessings of Yahweh, thy Allah, which he has given thee. So whatever the Most High has barak you with, bless you with, then that's what you bring to him. Of course, some men will have more, some men will have less. But whatever the Most High has given you, this is what you bring forth. But it says in verse 16, it's only 3 that you have to appear, all males. And that's the feast of what? Unleavened bread. And if you're there for the feast of unleavened bread, you're there for the Passover. So it's basically the same thing. The Passover, unleavened bread, the Feast of Weeks, right? What people call Pentecost, and then the Feast of Tabernacles. But you can't even come empty. You have to bring something because he has blessed you with something. So when we go from the Torah, from Genesis to the book of Deuteronomy, we don't see the Feast of Dedication in there. We just don't see it. But we do see it in the New Testament, right? Let's get it. And then we'll go to the book of Maccabees. Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10, and we'll jump down to verse 22. A hard road before them. Salakia. That was 16. But at least we know we have a hard road before us. It's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be for the faint-hearted, for the timid. It's for those that are willing to go hard. Verse 22. I said Matthew, Salakia. I don't know where my mind is. John 10, 22.
Where we going, John?
John.
John 10:22.
See, right here in the New Testament, we see it. It says, and it was at Jerusalem, the feast of what? Dedication. And it was winter. So we know that the feast of dedication, it was held in the winter. We actually know that Yahawashi was there. A lot of people like to go to this verse to show that Yahawashi celebrated the feast of dedication. Therefore, we should celebrate the feast of dedication. But what it says here, when you read it, it says, and it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, meaning the feast of dedication had arrived, right? It is coming. It is here. And it was what? Winter. So it lets us know that they were keeping the feast of dedication at this time when Hamashiach Yahushai was on the earth. They were keeping it. It's something that they did do. And it was winter time. So we have 2 indications here. The feast of dedication and winter. Verse 23, it says, and Yahawashi walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. With this very verse right here, a lot of Achchyam like to say, see, he kept it. He kept it. All it's saying right here is that he walked in the temple at Solomon's porch. Now, would he deny the very temple that was built of where the place where his father's name dwells? Of course not. Of course not. It's a beautiful thing of the rededication of the temple, which we're going to get into. But what is he really there for? Is he really there to celebrate, or is he really there to preach the word? Well, we find that out in the very next verse. It says, then came the Jews round about him. He didn't go over there where they was, right? He did not go over there where they was. It says, then came the Jews round about him, meaning they came and sought him out and said unto him, how long dost thou make us doubt? So now they came and sought him while he was in Solomon's porch, whatever he was doing. I don't know what he was doing in Solomon's porch. Doesn't tell us. They just said he was walking in the temple on Solomon's porch. But these men, these Jews sought him out. They came and they asking him a question. How long are you going to make us doubt? If thou be Hamashiach, tell us plainly. Right? This is what they're asking. The fellow Ahchyam. Yahawashi answered them, and he says, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not, because you are not my sheep, as I said unto you. Now, mind you, these men are Jews. They're in the temple. They're celebrating what? The Feast of Dedication. Yahawashi says that they are not his sheep. Are they not his sheep? Why? What are they doing that make them not his sheep? They're definitely Jews, right? This is what the Bible says. So they are fellow brethren, but he says that they are not his sheep. But yet they are there for the Feast of Dedication because they're at the temple. 27, he says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So the gospel that he was bringing forth, the word that he was bringing forth, these men rejected the word. They rejected him, and they rejected the word. A lot of people get confused when they look at this and they say, see, you know, he was celebrating, he was this. Listen, our brother Hamashiach Yahawashi came with the message. It may have been the Feast of Dedication, but was that why he was at the temple? Is that why he was walking in Solomon's porch? Because you could celebrate it anywhere, just as we doing it today. It's only 3 things that a man is commanded by the Most High Yahweh, that he has to appear before Yahweh in the place where he said his name, which is Jerusalem, 3 times a year. And we just went over that in Deuteronomy 16. So Yahawashi didn't have to go there. He wasn't commanded. He wouldn't be breaking any laws if he didn't go to the Feast of Dedication at the temple. He wouldn't be breaking any laws. But he was there, and he was there to do what? Bring forth this word, to let these men know that they don't believe and they're not his sheep. He goes on to tell them in verse 28, and I give unto them eternal life. Salakia, verse 27, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Verse 28, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. So they're about to kill him on the Feast of Dedication. Go ahead.
So technically, he wasn't even there celebrating that, because it don't even say that he celebrated.
It doesn't say that.
Say he was there for his own Father's purpose.
Correct. Not saying that he didn't. I don't know, but it doesn't specify that.
Yeah,
it doesn't go into that. It just says he was there.
Yeah.
And listen, he was there, but they're about to kill him.
Yeah.
Why? Because of what he came for. He came to bring forth what? This message. Do not think that he didn't know that when he got there that these men wasn't going to approach him. They wasn't going to, like, he knows these things. Did that stop him from going? Did he have a timid heart, say, oh, if I go, they may try to stone me. They may try to kill me. No, he went with the intention, knowing that this would happen.
It's like they was more worried about the so-called celebration of the dedication more than what he was there for.
Correct.
Which made him say that they not his sheep, because they not doing what the Father wanted them to do.
Well, that's how I was looking at it. You know, like I say, is it wrong to celebrate the rededication of the temple? No, our brother Maccabees and them, you know, they did a beautiful job. They fought for the Most High. But what I'm saying is that you have to understand what people use to get people to get enticed to do these type of things. You have to really read it for yourself. And that's what I encourage. Those same men that are celebrating the Feast of Dedication, it says in verse 31, those same Jews took up stones again to stone him. 32, Yahawashi answered them. He's still having a conversation with them, even though they have stones in their hands now. So he knows what's next. He asked a question. He said, many good works have I showed you from my Father. Which of these or which of those works do you stone me? He didn't run off. Fear didn't come upon him and he said, oh, and he took off. No, he asked him point blank, face to face. I've done many good things of my Father. I just want to know which one of these good things that I have done that you're going to kill me for. The Jews answered him, saying, for a good work we stone thee not. Oh, we're not going to kill you for the good things you did, but for blasphemy, and because that thou being a man maketh thyself a Elohim or Elohim in modern Hebrew. Here's the tricky one. Yahawashi answered them, is it not written? Listen to what he says. In your law. In your law. He didn't say, is it not written in the law? Why did he say, is it not written in your law? Because Yahawashi is not subject to the law. The law was given to us to get us back to what? Life. This is why it says if you take hold of it, then you will receive what? Eternal life. He already has eternal life. He left eternal life to come down here and tell us the message. But like he's telling these brothers right here, no matter what I keep telling you, you don't believe me. So he says, is it not written in your law? For those who don't know where that's at, that's in the book of Psalms 82 and 6, I believe. I said, ye are what? Gods or Elohims.
He said, I said ye are.
Right. Let me show you that it is in there. Let me reference it. Let me show you real quick. This is Psalms 80. Psalms 82. Read from verse 1 on down. Right. Psalms 82. That's where you can find it. That's what he's quoting. And he said, like she just said, I said. I said. See, a lot of people fail to realize that the law, which is spiritual, yes, it comes from the Most High. It definitely comes from the Most High, right? But the Most High gave that to Yahawashi to give to who? Us. So he delivered it to us that we may have a chance for what? Life. Because that's what the law brings. That's why Paul speaks about it, about being deceived. For those who don't know, this is why he said that exact thing. I was deceived. Sin deceived me. It's deceiving all of us, especially all of the brothers and sisters who don't know the law. Let me show you that real quick, and then we'll come right back. Romans chapter 7. I believe it's 7 and 7 when he says, yeah. Romans chapter 7, verse 7, it says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? Most High forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. So to establish the law will let people know this is the qualification. These are the things that you should not do in that body that you're in, because my spirit dwells within you. And in order to set you apart from all the other people on the earth that are doing these things, I'm going to give you this spiritual handbook so you can have the understanding, the discernment. Paul lets us know right here. He says, for I have not known lust except the law has said it. Thou shalt not covet. Meaning what? I didn't know it was wrong to look at this woman and lust after her. I didn't know it was wrong to see somebody that was rich and want to be rich myself. I didn't know that. I thought in my own mind it was okay. But Paul said, except the law said it. So when the law said it, because the law is spiritual, come from the Most High through Yahawashi, he said, man, verse 8, but sin taking occasion by the commandment wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead. So if we didn't have the law, sin wouldn't have any power. One might say, well, what are you trying to say? What do you mean? Meaning, if there was no murder, if we didn't have a police force and nobody would get convicted for murder, theft, any type of crime of that sort, then murder wouldn't have any value. It wouldn't mean anything. It would be meaningless. People would still do it, but it wouldn't mean anything because nobody's getting convicted for it. Nobody's getting punished. He says in verse 9, for I was alive without the law once. For this is for us, or I can only speak for myself, this is when I didn't know anything about the law. Didn't know anything about the Bible. Didn't know anything about the Torah. Didn't know anything about, I didn't know there was a law. But when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. The commandment, which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. Meaning what? The Torah that was given to our people was supposed to bring us and give us eternal life. But when he gave it to us, it actually brought what? Death, because we were sinning and transgressing the very law that he has given us. This is what Paul is saying. I found it to be unto death. Here it is. This is what I was talking about for those that are listening along. Verse 11. For sin taken occasion by the commandment, it deceived me. He's telling you right here, it deceived me. And it deceives all of us. You know, if you high-minded and you think it's not deceiving you, all means continue to think like that. But I'm here to tell you that it's deceiving everyone on the planet Earth. That's what it means in the book of Revelation when it says the devil has came down and he has deceived the whole world. Everybody that's on this earth that's walking around has been deceived by the devil. Comparative text, New Living Translation, it says, sin took advantage of those commands and deceived me. It used the commands to kill me. That's why sin is so powerful. Why do you think when Hamashiach Yahawashi came, right, he took that power back? Because he didn't fall into what? Sin. So that very power that sin has over us, he took it back and conquered it. Not only did he take the power back from sin, he took the power back from death and conquered that. Because once you dead, you're supposed to stay dead. But the power through the Most High, Yahweh, his Father, he rose him up again. Why? Because he had no sin attached to him, and it could be a righteous judgment for him to be raised again. Because he didn't have any sin attached to him. That power, it wasn't there to have basically accusement. There was no accusement because he hadn't did anything. So it was a wrongful death. So by the Most High through his power raising him back up, that was a righteous thing because he should have never been put to death in the first place. So anyway, right here in verse 17, it says, sin took advantage of those commands and deceived me and used the commands to kill me. So Paul was deceived. And Paul was in the spirit. I don't care what people say. Paul was in the spirit. And half of the people that read this Bible or talk about the Bible, they're not in the spirit like Paul was. And if Paul was deceived, you better be sure that you can be deceived. What verse was that? Salaki, I said 17, it's verse 11. And then it says in verse 12, wherefore the law is holy and the commandments are holy and just and good. So Paul is letting you know that the law is holy. It's Quadash. It's set apart. The commandments are holy. Quadash, set apart, sanctified, and righteous and good. I just read 13 and that's it, and then we'll go back. Was then that which is good made unto death unto me? Oh, I'm not? It says I am.
I just see the new NLT thing.
Oh, it must be a delay. Gotta be, because it says I'm showing it. On here, let me go back. I'll stop sharing it and go back. You see it now?
No.
Okay. Verse 13, it says, was then that which is good made death unto me? Most High forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. Then he goes into the whole thing. Verse 14, for we know that the law is what? Spiritual. The Torah, the law, is spiritual. Paul says, but I am fleshly, I am carnal, sold under sin. And then he goes into the conflicts, you know, about how he does the things that he hate, the things that he don't want to do. You keep telling yourself, I'm gonna stop, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, and then you go ahead and do it. And it's just that ongoing battle every single day. Every single day. And you might say, well, why is it like that? It's like that because that's the way the Most High set it up. You know, but I'm not going to go into all that because that's a whole nother story. Let's go back to where we was, John chapter 10, and move on from there. I think I had kind of finished that when he's talked about ye are gods. They was trying to stone him for the blasphemy. Salakia. Let's go to the book of Maccabees. Let's just open that up, you know. Let's just open that up. Let's go to the book of First Maccabees. First Maccabees. Let's go there. There's so much in there. Let me see. I'm not going to make it super long, so we'll just go to First Maccabees chapter 3. There's so much in there. It's a lot to read. Let me see.
You can probably go to where he ordained it.
Let's go to there was a lot going on in the book of Maccabees. Actually, let's start at chapter 1, and then we'll jump to chapter 3. Let's go to chapter 1, and we'll start at verse 7. Yeah. Just to get some insight of kind of like what's going on before we actually go to what happened. So Maccabees chapter 1, and we'll start at verse 7. Huh?
It's not loading for me. Hold on.
For those who have not read the book of Maccabees, I encourage you to go read First Maccabees, Second Maccabees. If those that have it, Third and Fourth Maccabees, but if you don't have it, First and Second Maccabees is just fine. We do encourage you to read this. This is in the 1611 King James Bible. A lot of people that have the regular 16 are the regular King James that were printed after like 1800s, 1900s. They don't have these books in there because they were taken out at a later period of time through the Protestant church. So I would encourage you to get you a 1611. That way you can have that. You ready?
First Maccabees 1 and 3.
1 and 7. Start at 7. And if you don't know what the Maccabees about, just short little thing. It's about basically the children of Israel going against the Greeks, right? And this is what's going on right now. We're going to read a little bit of it, and then we'll move on to show how the temple was overturned, and then it got rededicated. Go ahead. Verse 7.
So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
So we know we talking about Alexander. Who is that? Alexander who? The Great, right? Go ahead. The Greek. Go ahead.
And his servants bear rule, every one in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And after his death, they put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Why? Because these people had the power and the reign over this particular time on the earth, right? So it's saying when these people had this power, the evil was multiplied upon the earth. Go ahead.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For sin we departed from them. We have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Now, mind you, this is where the Most High name dwells, at Jerusalem, and they're building things according to the custom of who? The heathen. Should they be doing this? No. Go ahead.
And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
So this is First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 15, and it's going into a great detail telling you what's going on with the children of Israel and what's happening with the heathens. You know, as a child of Israel, you have to be what? Circumcised. You know that you don't forsake, or you should not forsake, the holy covenant, which is the blood covenant that I spoke about earlier in the book of Exodus, chapter 24, right? When he sprinkled the blood. And it's saying now in the book of Maccabees that the children of Israel are forsaking that holy covenant. Not only did they forsake it, they joined themselves to who? The heathen, to the Greeks, and were sold to do what? Mischief. Mischief is evil. Go ahead.
Now, verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him, and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light.
Took what?
The golden altar and the candlestick of light.
Do you see what it's saying in verse 21? And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light. What's the candlestick? What do we use today as the candlestick? What does it say? Yahawashi is standing in the 7 what? Middle of the 7 what? Candles. What is the candle? The menorah. And all the vessels thereof. They took them away. Now they're going to walk in the temple of the Most High and take away his stuff. Go ahead.
And the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels.
They took out the table of the showbread, and you know every Shabbat you had to put the showbread on the table, fresh bread. We know through David, when he went and asked the priest did they have anything, and he let them eat the bread. Right, the pouring vessels. Go ahead.
and the vials,
Uh-huh.
and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
They pulled them off. Defiling what? The temple of the Most High. Go ahead.
He took also the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly.
He was a proud man. Just because you are prideful or proud doesn't mean that you're a righteous man. It says right before that, a great what? Massacre. Who was he massacring? The Israelites. He wasn't massacring his own people. He was massacring us. Go ahead.
Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were.
Right. Because they were getting massacred. This is why it's important for you to go back and read these things in the book of Maccabees and second Maccabees to understand what the rededication of the temple is about, right? To understand all these things. And this is why Judas Maccabees and all his brothers and things like that, they did fight. And this is why it's a rededication, because of the things that these Greeks did. Also the Romans. But the Greeks had first hand in it. Go ahead.
Verse 26. So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
All the house of Jacob. All the house of Jacob. All 12 tribes. I'm not saying all 12 tribes was here, but I'm just saying that Jacob was in what? Confusion. Go ahead.
And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them. But all was deceit, for when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people in Israel.
See? It was all deceit, meaning it was all what? Lies. And he destroyed the people of Israel. Go ahead.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle.
So the women, they took captive. The children, they took them captive. Why? Because they could be slaves. The women, they just gonna rape them and do what they gonna do with them and marry them, and but they didn't take no men. They were killing all of the men. Go ahead, verse 33.
Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and defiled it.
Shed blood. We're on the temple and defiled it. Innocent blood. Go ahead.
Insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt.
So everything is happening. Everything is getting taken away. The people have fled. They're not keeping the feast days anymore. They're not keeping the Sabbath days anymore. Everybody's scared. Everybody's fleeing. There's just a lot going on. Verse 40, go ahead.
As had her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Now, you know that go directly against the Most High. How do we know that? The Most High told us all throughout the Torah, especially you can read Leviticus 18, you can read Deuteronomy chapter 7, that we're not supposed to make. Let me just show you real quick and we'll come right back. That we shouldn't make marriages and we shouldn't interact and do things with these people. Let me just show this real quick and then we'll go right back to the book of Maccabees. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. Notice what it says on the screen. Warnings, right? You can also find this in Exodus 34:10. It says, when Yahweh thy Allah shall bring thee into the land, whether thou shalt go and possess it, and thou hast cast out many people, nations mean people, before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, 7 people, nations greater and mightier than you. Verse 2, it says, and when Yahweh thy Allah shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them. You can't make a covenant with them. In the book of Maccabees, we just read that King Antiochus sent something out and the people agreed to it. Of course, they were scared because they didn't want to die. But hey, we got to do what we got to do. The Most High said, make no covenant with them, nor show what? Mercy unto them. This is a command. Verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy sons from following me, that they may serve other deities. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall you do. This is what we should do. And this is why we read in the book of Maccabees about our brother, the Maccabean, because they did this. It says, but thou shalt deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. That's what we should be doing, right? So back to the book of Maccabees, we should not have accepted this in verse. What verse was that?
32.
That was 32 or 42?
42.
42. Right? When he did this in 41 and 42, moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. We can't be one people. That goes against the Torah. That goes against the Most High. This is why the Maccabean revolt, they had to fight back. Of course, it wasn't everybody. We see a lot of Israelites just went in and, you know, they hearkened to it. We're going to read that in 43. Go ahead.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
So it lets you know there's no doubt in the mind that Israelites, a lot of Israelites, the majority of Israelites, they consented to whatever that king said. They were okay with it. Then they sacrificed to what? Graven images that they were supposed to be breaking down, burning with fire through the commands of the Most High. And they also profane the Sabbath, right? Verse 44, go ahead.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
So basically, you won't do anything in the temple anymore. You won't do any burnt offerings, Salakia. No sacrifices, no drink offerings. You can't keep the Sabbath, and you can't keep any feast days. So basically, they had voided out the whole Torah. You couldn't do anything. Verse 46 says, in what?
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
So the temple where the Most High is dwelling, his name, is being polluted. This is what's going on. So this is why, you know, if you read the whole thing, which we're not going to read every chapter, but we're just showing you how the temple was polluted and who it was polluted by and why, when it was overtaken by the Maccabees, that it had to be rededicated. Or should I say, it didn't have to be, they did it to show honor, glory to the Most High, to rededicate the temple back to him after they cleansed it. Right? Go ahead.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable, with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
This is something that's given by the king that these people should do. The king is telling these people, Israelites, what they should do. Leave your children uncircumcised, right? Make their souls more abominable, uncleanness, right? And if you are going to sacrifice what? Swine's flesh in verse 47, which they know in Leviticus chapter 11 is a direct hit against the Most High. Directly. We're not even supposed to touch it. But the Greeks are saying, hey, if you're going to set up something, if you're going to sacrifice, you know, make sure everything that you sacrifice are unclean beasts to go against the Most High. Nothing clean, everything unclean. That's how wicked these people are. But he was doing this for a particular reason. In verse 49, it lets us know. Go ahead.
To send to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever should not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
He shall die. If you're not going to hearken, if you're not going to listen, we're going to put you to death. Why? Because they wanted us to forget the law. They did a very good job too, because we have forgotten it. From this point, from the Greeks to the Romans, we have forgotten the law. This is why you ask the average individual that say that they are a believer, do we need to keep the law? They will say what? The law is done away with. So just what these people sought out to do hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they did it. They accomplished it. It says it right here in the book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 49, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And they've done that. So-called Israelites have forgotten the law. They forgot who they was. They forgot the law, and they have changed all the ordinances. So where they say you don't need to keep the law. And like they doing, you go to a church right now, they have swine's flesh in the church, selling plates. Or people leave the church and go eat after church, and the first thing they eat is what? Swine's flesh. Because they're lost. We'll read a couple more and then we'll go to where they rededicated it. And they'll get ready to close out. 51.
In the selfsame manner rode he to his old kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit everyone that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
So they drove out all the Israelites into what? Secret. This is what's going on. I mean, we could keep going on and on and on, but we get the logistics of it, right? We could continue to go on and on, but if you haven't read it, I encourage you to read the book of Maccabees. Let's go to chapter, let me see. Huh? You want to read that? Okay, go ahead. Continue on. 54. Keep going.
Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at doors of their city,
Their houses.
of their houses and in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
They had so much hatred against the Most High and his children, his people, that they burnt all of the books of the law that they found.
After they rent it, so like they basically ripped up the law,
Right.
and then burnt it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So this is why it's so important about the rededication. And we could see other things like this, things that people been through, right? When we read the book of 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and all that about the King Josiah and all these different things, this is why Israel went through so much and still going through so much today. Go ahead, verse 57.
And whosoever was found with the book of the testament,
Uh-huh.
or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
See? 58.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the city.
So every Israelite that was found in the city, if they were still keeping the law, if they were still serving the Most High, keeping his law, statute, and commandments, the king said, put them to death. That's verse 57. You can see it, that they should be what? Put to death. Right? So there was a lot of Israelites being put to death. There were also a lot of Israelites listening to what the king said and bowing down because they didn't want to die. Right? But like I say, for us to sit and read all of this will be a lot. So we're just kind of going into the things that were going on at this time. Now I'm going to jump to chapter 3, 4, actually, and we're just going to go about the rebuilding and different things like that. Chapter 4, I was trying to see what verse, but we could start it like, I guess we can get right into it. We'll start in the 40s, like 39 or something. So chapter 4, started like verse 39. It's so much. So I encourage you, like I said, we're just doing a brief, kind of going into it briefly, but please go back and read everything so you can get a greater understanding. What verse did I say?
39.
Before we jump down, let's just read a little bit of this. Read verse 1.
Where we at?
Maccabees, first Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 1.
Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews, and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was at Emos, while as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas. And when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains, for he said, these fellows flee from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas shewed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who were nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed around about with horsemen. and these were expert of war. Then said Judas to the men that were with him, Fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now therefore let us cry unto Shemayam, if peradventure Yahweh will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivereth and saveth Israel. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes, and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomfited, fled into the plain. Howbeit all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them into Gezerah, and unto the plains of Idumea, and Azotus, and Jamnia, so that there were slain of them upon 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them.
So Judas is doing all of this, going against these people, right? So we're going to jump all the way down to, where did I say? It says right here in verse 25, thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers that escaped came and told Lysias, if I'm pronouncing that right, what happened, right? Let me see. So they're just basically going over all the things that happened. Verse 30 says, and when he saw his mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who doesn't quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of the servant David, and gavest thou host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul. So he's speaking about when Saul was at war, right? I want to just jump down to verse, let's start at 36 and read on down, because there's a lot in here. Go ahead.
Then said Judas and his brethren, Behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads.
So when they seen all these things, they broke out into crying, right? That's what lamentation means. In the ashes, to bring them to a low estate. This is why in the Bible, ashes, why is earth and ashes so proud? Because that's all we are. All you are is dirt. That's it. You know, you're not beautiful. You're not glamorous. You're not this. Take all that foolishness off. You're just dirt. That's why when you die, they put you where? In the dirt. That's it. You're nothing special. Sorry. Go ahead.
Verse 40, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward Shemayam. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary.
Until he had cleaned the temple, the sanctuary. Go ahead.
So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary, and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to shew what should be done with them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former.
Right. So they're doing everything properly according to the law, because you have to have certain type of stones, right? It's certain things that you're supposed to do and certain things that you're supposed to have. So they're doing it according, as it says right here, according to the law. This is why it's rededicated, because they did the things that were proper according to the law. Go ahead, verse 48.
And made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts.
Mm-hmm.
They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense, and the table. And upon the altar they burned incense.
Hand me that candlestick right there so I can show the people, for those that may not know. The small one right there. Right? For those people that may not know, the candlestick, let me see. Stop sharing real quick. For those people that may not know the candlestick, this is the candlestick, right? If you have never seen one, if you don't know, this is the candlestick. This is what you would call, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Just to let you know. You can get you one of these. You can order one of these. But you should have one or multiple ones in your home, right? So this is what it's speaking about, that these men at this time were cleansing it and doing these particular things. So I just wanted to show that. Go ahead. Let me go back. Let me share it. Okay, go ahead. What verse was we at?
50.
Go ahead.
And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make.
Now, Salakia, remember when we was in chapter 1, they was throwing all this stuff out. The showbread, the table, the candlesticks. So now, Judas and them, they back, and now they setting everything back up for the Most High. And it's telling you what they're doing. Set the loaves up the table and spread out the veils, and they finished all the works they had begun to make. So it's letting you know, right? Go ahead.
Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month of Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made.
So now they're willing, or not willing, but they're able to sacrifice again to the Most High according to the law. Because why? They built that new altar. So, they're able to do things according to the law for the Most High, showing that what those people did prior, they came in and polluted it. Now they are what? Basically rededicated, redoing, because they want to follow who? The Most High. So this is why I say, is it wrong to keep the Feast of Dedication? No, it's not wrong, but it's not in the Torah.
Isn't that like a man-made holiday though?
Well, it's something that the brothers did, yes. So if you want to look at it and say man did it, yes, man did do it. They did it for who? The Most High. This is where all the things we read, how they built a new temple. They went in and they built this and they did that because the people have polluted it. They wouldn't have to go in and do this if these Greeks had not come and polluted it and sacrificing swine's flesh and things like that. So once they cleansed it, as we just read all those verses, now they're basically rededicating that same temple back to the Most High as it was. This is why you see in verse 53, it says, and offer sacrifices according to what? The law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they have made. You got something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering because, I know that the intentions was good intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that be the same as Aaron's sons when their intentions were supposedly good and he smoked them?
No, that's a little different because the reason it's different is because Aaron and his sons were priests, right? And they had particular jobs within the temple. At this particular time, the temple has been defiled.
Yeah, but no one told them to do that. Like, he's not. I understand, like, the temple being defiled and things like that. I get that. But
Mm-hmm.
the temple does not hold the Most High. And it's like they did these things, and this man said, now you are, to celebrate. But the Most High didn't ordain that to be so. So wouldn't that be following man and their created holiday?
Well, like I say, men did create it, the brothers, right? The Maccabees, they did create it. And they created it to give honor back to the Most High. So, I mean, in one instance, yes, man did do it, but they did it because the temple of the Most High had been defiled, and they just wanted to bring it back to where it was to give honor to the Most High. So some may say, hey, it's wrong, and some may say, hey, it's right. This is why I say you have to read it and come to your own conclusion. It's not commanded by the Most High in the law or in the Torah, right? But when we read the Maccabees, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, if you read those, all of the things that they sacrificed just for the Most High, all the brothers were killed, mother was killed. A lot of Israelites were killed because of the people they wanted to do war on the Shabbat day. They wouldn't fight back. It's a lot of different things within the book of Maccabees that happened, just like that was just chapter 1 that we read. One of the kings.
But wouldn't it be like the thing, like let's say, for example, nowadays, when people start finding out who they are and they realize all this stuff was wrong, and then all of a sudden now they want to do right and start doing things or whatever, like, it's still man-made.
Well, nobody's taking that away, that it's not, that a man didn't.
But don't law say not to follow man-made?
Well, the law just says don't follow man. Don't put your trust in man.
But it says not to follow any man-made holidays, right?
Well, once again, it's saying don't put your trust in man. But the brothers are not saying put your trust in them. They're saying put your trust in the Most High. This is why they're rededicating it to the Most High. Just watch. Let's read a few more verses. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
I'm just wondering.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, because yes, it was created. The rededication of the temple was created through the brothers, right? The Maccabees. It wasn't ordained through the Most High. So this is why you have some brothers who don't keep the Feast of Dedication. This is why I showed you in the New Testament where it spoke about the Feast of Dedication. So they were keeping the Feast of Dedication when Hamashiach walked the earth in the temple. They were keeping it. So we know it's something that from this point on that the people did do. And like I told you earlier when we read John chapter 10, when Hamashiach was in the temple in Solomon's porch, it doesn't necessarily say that he was celebrating it, but he was there. He didn't speak against it. He didn't say, oh, you ought not do this, or there's nowhere in there that they put that he spoke against it. When there's nowhere in there that he spoke for it. It just says that it was the Feast of Dedication and it was winter and Yahawashi was in the temple. So we just have to go upon it the way it is. Like I said, that's why I read Deuteronomy 16. 3 times a year that every male shall appear before the Most High. That's a command. So if the brothers were keeping the Feast of Dedication and I didn't go up, they can't hold that against me, and neither with the Most High, because I'm not commanded from the Most High to keep it. but it's something that the brethren did, the Ahchyam did, because they were willing to lay down their lives for the Most High, for the temple. And then when they did cleanse it, they rededicated to it, right? But we'll read a few more verses. And like I say, this is the conversation of why it needs to be had, just for people to understand. Go ahead. Let's finish this off.
Boris.
53.
And offered sacrifice according to the law
Uh-huh.
on the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made.
Right.
Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. And then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the Most High of Shemayim, who had given them good success.
So the way they was looking at it at this particular time is not all Israelites, like you said, a lot of Israelites consented to what the king said. They profaned themselves. They kept themselves and their children uncircumcised. And, so it was a lot of Israelites that gave into that. These particular Israelites didn't give into that. They fought back. And in that, when they fought back and won the temple back over, basically kicked the Greeks back out, pushed them back to where they was able to overtake the temple again. And verse 55 is just basically saying that once they did that, they fell on their face, worship, praising the Most High. But they gave him the success because they know they couldn't win or for this to even happen if it wasn't for the Most High. Go ahead.
And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them.
Because remember, when those Greeks came in, they took all that stuff. They took all the gold. They took all the silver. They took the doors off. They took all of the vessels, and they took the books of the covenant. They ripped them. They tore them. They put them on fire. So all of the things basically those people took, they brought it back. Well, not those particular things, but they brought gold, like I said, it's crowns of gold with shields. They put new doors on. Go ahead.
Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away.
So that's where you get the rededication and things like it's more to it, but this is where it goes into, right? That after the heathen were basically put away, pushed away, that they went back in. That's like somebody come break in your house, take all your stuff out your house, take all the manures, take all your whatever's, valuable, piss all in here, boo-boo all in here, do whatever. And then you able to get back to your home. And instead of just leaving it or destroying it, you build it back up, and kind of rededicate your home to yourself or to the family, whoever is with you. Now, was it right? Well, I can't say that. I'm not the Most High, right? Would the Most High want something that's already been defiled? Well, we have to think about ourselves. We defiled the Most High, but yeah, he still wants us, So, like I say, I can't say yes or nay. I leave it up to the people, 59.
Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness.
So it's telling you right here who did it, right? Doesn't say, thus saith Yahweh. Doesn't say that. It says Judas and his brethren, right? The Ahchyam, with the whole congregation of Israel ordained it. So that means that they got together with all of the rest of the Israelites that were about it, the ones who didn't turn to being a heathen, and they agreed upon this as brethren, and they ordained it. Did the Most High ordain it? No. But we know through the Spirit that the Most High works through people. And we know that they wouldn't have been able to do this unless it was through the power of the Most High. So this is where the Feast of Dedication comes from. And it lets you know who ordained it, the children of Israel, or the congregation of Israel. Right? That's who ordained it. It tells you when to celebrate it, how long to celebrate it, with mirth and gladness. Right? Continue on, verse 60.
At that time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before.
Mm-hmm.
And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea.
Which is Esau, right? Edom. Let's read on to the next chapter, verse 5. We're not going to read a lot of it, but I just want you to kind of get an insight of it. Verse 5. Chapter 5, verse 1.
No, when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much.
So, Salakia, all the other people that were round about, we already know all those other nations, people that were round about the children of Israel, they were happy that the children of Israel were going through these things. They were happy that the temple was being defiled, right? They were happy. Everything, all the murdering, the massacre, all of the things that were being brought about, they were happy about this. And it displeased them now that the temple was being renewed, rededicated. It pissed them off, basically, again. Like, why won't these people just go or die? This is what people say. Why won't people just die? Why won't they just die off? All throughout the Bible, we see this. That they made covenants and they've done things that we're going to make these people disappear. That they're no longer a people anymore. That they'll forget about the law. They'll forget about the covenant. And like I say, they have done a magnificent job. Magnificent. I will say that. I'll give, credit where credit is due. They have done a magnificent job to where our people don't know who they are. And we're just all lost. We don't believe. We don't love the Most High. We don't give our life for the Most High. We're just sad. And I know other people out there, they do more than others. But when you look at the people as a whole, man, we so far off, we just sad. And everybody's worried about themselves and what they gonna do in a life that don't matter. And the one thing Yahawashi brought, what he says, is eternal life. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. You go to somebody's Bible and go like this and there's dust all over it. Because it's what? It doesn't mean anything. Verse 2.
Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them.
Mm-hmm.
And thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people.
See? We've been getting killed since the beginning of time, man. They've been trying to destroy Jacob, the children of Israel, since the beginning. And, we allow them to. I never understood what they said. What's that old saying that they always said in school? Knowledge is power, or reading is...
Knowledge is power, and they say reading is fundamental.
Yeah. If you want to hide anything from a black man, just put it in the book. You want to hide anything from any black children, just put it in the book. You ain't got to worry about it. It ain't going to be important to them. Young black kids, and unfortunately our brothers and sisters, our Latinas, our Latino community, I should say, and Native American community, Native Americans a little bit better because they have their own system, but it still has been influenced. I believe they have reservations in schools and things like that on their reservations, but it's still influenced by the oppressor. That's why I say they have done a magnificent job. Our children don't want to read. Our children don't want to study. Our children don't want to know nothing about the Most High. We just destroyed, man, for a lack of knowledge, like the Bible says. Verse 3.
Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabataim, because they besieged Gael, and he gave them a great overthrow, and abated their courage, and took their spoils. Also he remembered the injury of the children of Bean, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up, therefore, in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all that were therein.
We'll just stop right there. Like I said, it's a lot, man. You know, to read First Maccabees, Second Maccabees, it's a lot to go into. But I just wanted to show a little bit, you know, not go super deep into it, but I wanted to show a little bit of the question that was asked. You know, did Yahweh ordain the Feast of Dedication? And you know, we have a person that says really no, that is man. You know, I would say it is man, because we just read it, that it was the brethren that did it in the congregation of Israel. Of course, I believe that the Most High gave the brethren the power to be able to overtake the temple again, because it wouldn't have happened unless he ordained it. But there's nowhere that he said that in the law. And I just feel like, you know, if it's not in the law, then he didn't ordain it. But I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate it if that's what you want to do, you know. And there's another one. I believe it's what's the other one that they celebrate? Hanukkah. No, what's the other one?
Yeah. And that ain't?
No, it's the other one.
Kwanzaa, whatever it's called.
No, it's the other one where the queen. Oh man, I get it. But the queen, when she, you know, when she had to do that with the king and go against the people. Remember, they was like, if you're not gonna stand for us, we're not gonna be with you. And she was the queen. Yeah, married her. Forget her name for some reason. It's just not off the top of my head. Esther, yeah. You know. But once again, hopefully this was just edifying for you, give you some type of, you know, knowledge on it. I encourage you to go back and read the Book of Maccabees. Is great information in there, man. And it lets us know the struggles and things that our brothers and sisters went through in there. You know, all the death and the hate that they have against the people of Israel, the children of Israel, you know, and how they want us to profane and, you know, forsake the law, forsake the Torah, forsake the Most High. Like all of these things are planned. This is why the Most High tell us it's so important that we, you know, reveal these things and tell these things to our children and our children's children, you know. Let me get that before we close out in the book of Revelation. Let me see.
Revelation
18. After these things, I saw another Malach come down from the heaven, or the Shemayim, having great power, and the earth was lightening with his glory. And he cried with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen. Is fallen, and it's become the inhabitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And we know where Babylon is. Babylon is what we would call the United States of America. That's exactly what we call Babylon, right? A place of confusion. And it has fallen. Why? Because there's nothing, as the Bible says, but a habitation of devils. When you look at people, there's only two type of people in this world. You have the people that are of the Most High, and then you have devils. And if a person is not living for the Most High, then they're a devil. That's it. There's no big mystery behind it. If you're not living for the Most High, then you live for Satan. There is no middle ground. Verse 3, for all nations, meaning people, because the word nations mean people. For all people have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the king of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. What does that mean? We see it on TV. You see the people with all of the diamonds on and the gold chains and the Ferraris and the cars and the big houses, and you bought into it. That's what merchants are. Merchants are people that sell things. You have committed fornication with them. Every time you go into the Gucci store, every time them people go into any store, you commit fornication with them because you make them more influencers, as they call themselves today. You make them more richer. They only rich because you continue to buy their product. Anyway, verse 4, it says, I heard another voice from the heaven, Shemayam, saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. That's what a believer is fighting for. The reason, not only reason you believe, but you believe and you stop doing certain things and stop taking part in her Christmas and her Halloween and your birthdays and all of these celebrations of this world and all of the things of this world. You don't buy Gucci and Prada and Fendi, and nobody cares about that. You don't have to wear a football jersey or a basketball jersey. You're not idolizing LeBron or whoever these people may be. You have came out of her, that you don't be partakers of her sins. But that's not the case. We have not came out of her. We are partakers of her sins. So we shall receive what? As it says right here, the plagues. You wonder why you sick. You wonder why your back hurt, your knee hurt. You wonder why you got cancer. You wonder why you got high blood pressure. You wonder why you're going through all these things, because you are a partaker of her sins, and that's the Most High sending plagues upon you because you won't listen. For her sins have reached up to the Shemayam, and the Most High have remembered her what? Iniquities. He has remembered the sins we have committed. It says in verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according unto her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much more shall, Salakia, how much she have glorified herself and live deliciously, I would say. So much torment, Salakia, torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahawah, Allah, who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live with her, deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off, for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth the merchandise anymore. Why are they crying? Because nobody's buying Gucci anymore. Nobody's buying Fendi and Prada or whatever these kids buy. Jordans, LeBrons, Gippies. Nobody's buying it anymore. There are no more merchants. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thy wood and all manner of vessels and ivory and all manner of vessels, most precious woods and brass, iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of man, and the fruits thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all the things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. I could continue on, but I just stop right there. That's the end. That's where we headed. That's where we gonna be at. And all the stuff that's going on and all the stuff that people have nowadays, it don't even gonna matter. It ain't gonna matter. You know, I would say this and I'll leave this. After this, I'll leave off. You know, I was a person that was worried about a lot of dainties of the world, as the Bible calls it, especially about the things that you have on. And it had to be, you know, a certain person's name, or it's just really the name, because it wasn't the quality. The quality could be crap, but as long as it said, you know, Jordan's name on it, it meant something. I'm so glad that those things don't mean anything to me anymore. I would rather have on a shirt from, they don't even have Kmart no more, Walmart, for $5. Well, mine don't cost $5 because I'm a big guy, but $10, you know. Oh, thanks. Amazon is. She said they don't have my size at Walmart. Well, Amazon. But I'm so glad that I could just put on a t-shirt. You know, I don't, it doesn't have to have a logo or night. Matter of fact, I don't even want a t-shirt with their logo. I don't even want anything with their logo. Unfortunately, just for me, because I'm a big guy, it's hard for me to find a good pair of shoes that's not from a one of these companies that are big. But if I could, believe me, I'd do that too. You know, but we're so caught up in the things of this world, not even realizing the plagues, man, that's upon us. You know, we in a burning house that's on fire. Hey, if you haven't seen the movie Don't Look Up, is that what it's called? Don't Look Up on Netflix. Go look at that. That's exactly what they're doing. It's like we're in a burning house on fire, and they keep telling us, no, we're okay. Don't worry about the fire. Don't worry about the house. Yeah, that's the movie. Yeah, don't worry. Don't look up. Don't worry about it. It will be okay. We won't be okay. Huh? Everybody that you see on here on earth is going to die. And if they die when Yahweh Shai comes back, they're going to be set on fire in front of you. You're going to watch your children burn. You're going to watch your mother burn. You're going to watch your father burn. You're going to watch everybody get judged. You in line too. All the secrets that you have hidden, they're going to be displayed up there, and everybody's going to know. Everybody in your family, everybody that you care about and love. I hope you don't think that you stop loving and caring once you die. You still know. Look at the parables. What did the rich man ask? Can you go back and save my brothers? How did he know he still had brothers? Why was he asking Abraham, can you go send somebody to tell him so they don't end up here? So it lets you know that you still have consciousness, that you were still concerned about the people up there. I mean, we have to think about these things. Anyway, hopefully it was edifying for you. Hopefully you got something from it. That's why we do it, you know, to edify the people. Like I started off, Romans 10, how would the people know? How would the people hear without a preacher? You know, I remember before he passed, he used to call me that all the time. What's going on, preacher? And I didn't like that. I didn't like reverend and I didn't like preacher. I felt like it was something that I was trying to get away from, because I didn't want to be a preacher. But really, there's no such thing as a preacher. It's just a priest. And this is what Peter said. And I'll close out with this. I believe it's 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. I'll close out with this. I really didn't understand until later on. But now I clearly understand. Right? And this is what he's saying. Unfortunately, this is why when you called or chosen, this is why you have to live this life. Someone told me that a long time ago, way in the beginning, but who knew it would take, how many years it's been? 8, something like that, 7. Who knew? Anyway, here it is. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Newborn babes. Wherefore, laying aside all malice, all guile, and hypocrisy, and envy, and evil speaking, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. If so be you have tasted, Yahweh is gracious. And I know that he's gracious. I know that I'm only here because of him. Then he says after that, now you are living stones. So now that I know who I am, what I am, I'm just not this individual that was born out of my mother's womb, you know, and here on the earth, it's a lot more to it. Now that I know that and came to terms with it, when you read these things, now it says, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of man, but chosen by the Most High and precious. So now that I know this, because the word was brought forth to me, that's how I know through the Spirit. It says, ye also are lively stones, built up a spiritual house, a Kodash priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by Yahawashi Mashiach. So now we have to offer spiritual sacrifices. But before that, it says, in holy priesthood. When you go back and you do the research like I had to do, you come to find out that all the men of the children of Israel were really supposed to be priests. It wasn't until they had that incident at Mount Sinai and the Levites stood up that he put the Levites just in place. But all firstborn males, any firstborn male of the children of Israel, they all get gifted to who? The Most High. All of them. That would be your sacrifice, right? Your parents would sacrifice you, give you over to the Most High, meaning what? You would serve the Most High. Not what you want to do, but you're going to serve the Most High. But instead of it being like that, since the Levites stood up that day, he put the Levites in that place. What they call it, like a substitution at the time. But we know now that substitution is void because the temple is gone. The Levites don't have that job. And now we're in the spiritual priesthood, which is what? Hamashiach Yahushua is our high priest. And as Peter is letting us know, we're being called to be what? A holy priesthood here on the earth. I didn't know none of this. I didn't know I was a priest. I didn't know I had to be a living sacrifice. I didn't know I had to give spiritual sacrifices. But this is what happened when the Most High opened up your understanding and you start to realize this is what you are. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But it's hell on earth. I tell you that. But you just have to go through it. This is why I say, let's read on verse 6. Wherefore, also it is contained in the scriptures, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believe on him shall not be confounded. So if you believe on Hamashiach Yahushua, you won't be confounded. But notice it says before that, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone. He is a stone. He is a stone. And what? They're going to stumble. This is why it says in verse 7, unto you, therefore, which believe, if you believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. And a stone of what? Stumbling. That's why he was put there. So now that I understand that Hamashiach Yahushua was put there as a stumbling block, a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the what? Word. Being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. So you have to understand when we are disobedient, when we fall into sin, when we stumble into sin, that's because that's what we was appointed to. That's already been chosen for you. When something is appointed for you, it's waiting on you. You have an appointment. Why? Because we're being disobedient. But when you come to this understanding, Peter is trying to let us know in verse 9, but you are a chosen generation. You reading this and you understand it, not just reading it, but you understand it. Here's the battle in line. But you are a chosen generation. Here it is right here. A royal priesthood. A Kodash nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That's where we were, in complete darkness. I'm not saying I'm still not in darkness. But what I'm saying is that I understand that there is a marvelous light, and the Most High is showing me that it's light. Come over here, my son. This is what Peter is expressing to us, that you are a priest. You're not like everybody else. You're a peculiar person. That's why maybe you never really fit in with all those other people of the world. You try so hard, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't fit like a puzzle piece. And you've been called out of darkness into light. Verse 10, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not attained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. He's only speaking to people that believe. And he's letting you know that, brother, the thing that you're going through, that thing inside of you, that war, I understand. I understand. This is something that we all had to go through. Why? Because we're strangers and pilgrims here on the earth. Verse 12 says, having your conversation honest amongst the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they have beheld, glorify the Most High in the day of visitation. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for Yahweh's sake, whether it be the king or supreme. I just stop right there because we could continue on. But verse 9 really is the one that I was looking for that opens it up. That says that you are a royal priesthood. You know, preacher, priest, those are the ones who bring forth the word, just like the Levites did. And if a man is bringing forth the word, then you're a priest. And, you know, this is why you're going to be held accountable differently. And this is why you go through the things that you go through. Peter was a priest. Paul was a priest. Bartholomew was a priest. Matthew was a priest. Following who? Our high priest, Yahawashi Mashiach. So with that, I'll close out. Hopefully, like I said, it was edifying for you. Shabbat Shalawam to everybody. All praises be to the Most High Yahweh. Call Halal Yahweh Ba'Shama Mashiach Yahushai. And once again, it's up to you. That's why it's the question. Yes or no? Anybody who watches this, I would love to get a comment to know what you think about the Most High ordaining it. Yes or no? And do you keep it or do you not? And to all the brethren in the Ahchyam out there that's celebrating it tonight, because it's a lot of brethren, a lot of Ahchyam tonight that are celebrating the Feast of Dedication, I say Shabbat Shalom, and may y'all have a Barak day and a Barak night. All praises be to the Father. Anybody else want to say anything? Kwam Yasharallah and Shalawam.